NM utility hypothesis or Newman-Morgenstern utility hypothesis is another hypothesis developed in the decision-making theory. It deals with the decision-making under the conditions of risk and uncertainty. Let us look at NM utility hypothesis and how does the NM utility index is constructed. So before that, let's have a look at the background of the NM utility index. So as we have studied in the Bernoulli's hypothesis, as loss of utility will be greater than the gain of utility due to the diminishing marginal utility status of the people. So this was employed by John von Neumann and Oscar Morgenstern. They used it for the construction of a cardinal utility index. NM utility function is the cardinal utility index of choice under risk and uncertainty. And this NM utility hypothesis and NM utility index was taken from the original article of the theory of games of economic behavior, published in 1949, authored by John von Neumann and Oscar Morgenstern. Neumann and Morgenstern developed an index which is popularly called the NM index, NM utility index. This is an index to predict the choice of the consumers, of the people under risky situations. So this could be applied for the situations of gambling. This could be applied for the choice making options of a commission based job and a permanent fixed salaried job. Here Neumann and Morgenstern have applied the numerical value for the marginal utility of money which the individual gets from gambling or gets from the choice making under the risky economic situations. Let's look some of the assumptions of the NM utility hypothesis. As per the hypothesis, individual is supposed to behave in risky situations to maximize the expected utility, unlike the risk averting behavior of the individual. Second one is consumer choices are transitive. If he prefers A to B and B to C, then he must prefer A to C. The third one, the probability for the uncertain outcomes will lies in between 0 and 1, and sum of the probability must be equal to 1, and the individual is supposed to be indifferent when the utility of the certain outcome is equal to the expected utility of the uncertain outcomes, and here the individual will prefer the option for which the utility is greater than the other outcome. That means the individual will reject the certain outcome if expected utility of the uncertain outcomes is greater than that of the certain outcome. Let's now look into the construction of NM utility index. How does the NM utility index is constructed or developed? And here Neumann and Morgenstern employed cardinal utility measurement for the development of NM utility index. Suppose there are three outcomes: outcome A, outcome B, and outcome C. Outcomes A and C are the uncertain outcomes of an economic activity, and B is a certain outcome of an economic activity. So there are two options before an individual: either go for uncertain outcomes of A and C. Remind you, A and C are the uncertain outcomes of an economic activity, and B is another option which is a certain outcome of an economic activity. So for the probability for the outcome B, if certain option is chosen, then it is probability is 1. At the same time, probability for A and B could differ, depends on the situations, as they are uncertain outcomes of an economic activity. And here we have to calculate the expected utility of A and C, as they are uncertain outcomes, and it is written as PUA, that is probability into utility of A is the outcome, plus 1 minus P is the probability of the outcome C, and UC is the utility of C. So that means this is the probability weighted utility of A and C, that is the expected utility of A and C. And utility of B, which is a certain outcome, it is written as UB. And there are 3 possibilities before an individual facing 2 economic activities. One economic activity, if he choose one economic activity, then only 2 outcomes, there are 2 outcomes expected, which are uncertain, and probability may differ. At the same time, if he prefer the certain outcome, then its possibility is probability is 1, it is a certain outcome. And let's look at the 3 possibilities before an individual. First one is the alternative B is preferred, that means the certain outcome B is preferred if its utility, that means utility of B is greater than the expected utility of the uncertain outcomes of A and C. A and C are the uncertain outcomes of an economic activity. Suppose utility of B, that is the certain outcomes utility is greater than the expected utility of A and C, then the certain outcome will be preferred. Second possibility is the certain outcome is rejected if its utility or utility of B is less than the expected utility of A and C. Here the expected utility of uncertain outcomes A and C is greater than that of B, then the uncertain outcome will be preferred and certain outcome will be rejected. So that means the person is making his choice depends on the expected utility and utility of certain outcome. At the same time, he could be indifferent, that is the third possibility. The individual could be indifferent without making any choice of a certain outcome and uncertain outcome, only when the utility of certain outcome B is equal to the expected utility of A and C, then he remains indifferent without not making any choice. This could be applied to an individual who has 2 options of employment. One is fixed salaried job, that is outcome B, and the commission based job, that is the it carries the outcomes A and C. If he increases sales, he will get more income, then it is suppose it is A, and if the sales are dull, he will get reduced salary, that is C. And if he choose commission based job, he will get either A or C. So let us discuss each possibility before an individual by assigning some numerical values. Utility of A here the first example is the utility of A plus C, that means the expected utility of A and C is greater than the utility of B. So it is sure in this case that the individual will choose the uncertain outcomes of A and C, or uncertain outcomes of A and C, or the commission based job, as its utility is greater than that of the fixed salaried job. That is given in this example. Look at the utility of A is 100, utility of C is 20, and the probability for A, that is P of A, is 0.8 or 80% chance for the utility of A, and the probability for C, that is other outcome in this risky economic activity, is 0.2 or 20% possibility for that. And then we need to calculate the expected utility of A and C given the equation PUA plus 1 minus P into UC. PUA is the probability into utility of A plus 1 minus P. 1 minus P is the 1 minus probability of A into utility of C. It is 0.8 into 100, that is 80, plus 1 minus 0.8 is 0.2, that means 0.2 into 20 is 4, then 80 plus 4 is 84, that means the expected utility of the uncertain outcomes is 84. And suppose the utility of B here is 75, that is a certain outcome, that is the utility of the certain outcome, but the alternative A and C produce the expected utility of 84, then the consumers will not have any confusion. The individual will prefer the uncertain outcomes of A and C as its expected utility is greater than that of the certain outcome. And look at the second example or second possibility. Here the utility of A plus C, that means the expected utility of the uncertain outcomes A and C is less than that of the certain outcome B. Here the utility of A is 100 itself, utility of C is 20, and each A and C carries 0.5 probability. That means 50% chance for 100 to happen, 50% chance for 20 to happen. Then the expected utility of A and C can be calculated. It is 0.5 into 100 plus 0.5 into 20. That means 0.5 into 100 is 50, 0.5 into 20 is 10, 50 plus 10 is 60. Then here it is sure that alternative B, which is certain outcome, its utility is 75. That is a certain outcome. So surely the individual will prefer the certain outcome of B as its utility is 75. It is well above the expected utility of the uncertain outcome. And let's look at the example 3, or the third possibility is the utility of A and C. That means expected utility of the uncertain outcomes A and C is equal to the utility of the certain outcome. So here the individuals or consumers will remain indifferent, and they are supposed to make no choice as the expected utility of the uncertain outcomes is equal to the utility of the certain outcome. Then he remains indifferent according to the Newman-Mongester's hypothesis. Here utility of A is 130, utility of C is 20, and each of these uncertain outcomes carry 0.5 probability or 50% chance for A to happen, 50% chance for C to happen, and B is certain outcome, that means the fixed salaried job. And if the individual selects the commission based job, either his utility will be maximized to 130 or it will come down to 20 as it is uncertain. And we have to calculate the expected utility of A and C. These are the two uncertain outcomes, and it will be 130 into 0.5. 130 into 0.5 it is 130 not 100. 0.5 into 130 it is 65 plus 0.5 into 20, that is 10. Then 65 plus 10 is 75. That means expected utility of A and C, or the probability weighted average of the uncertain outcomes A and C is 75. It is exactly equal to the utility of B. So consumers don't have any choice, and they remain indifferent. They will not make any preference, as utility of certain outcome and uncertain outcomes are same. Here let me conclude the presentation on Newman-Morgenstern hypothesis, or NM utility index. And here three options are there before an individual. He has to make a choice, and A and C are uncertain outcomes. B is a certain outcome of an economic activity, and the B will be preferred, the uncertain outcome B will be preferred if its utility is greater than the expected utility of the uncertain outcomes A and C. And at the same time, A and C are the two uncertain outcomes. Those will be preferred if their utility, if their expected utility is greater than the utility of the certain outcome B. At the same time, individual will be indifferent. He will not make any choice, she will not make any choice if the expected utility of the uncertain outcomes is exactly equal to the utility of the certain outcome B.